control. Pain still hurts, but it helps you grow. So I don't know, yeah, I'm still surviving. Too many black clouds with a silver lining. Think about the past and a while back. Something comes out when you smile back. So
welcome everyone to another episode of the AT Radio Show. I'm very excited to have an interview with A. Digger Stolz, who is the author of the novel Stumbling Thru, Book 1, Hike Your Own Hike. We will bring that interview to you very shortly. I think everyone will enjoy listening to the author on his perspective on the book, and he has information on where you can buy the book, digital and physical copies. Before we get into the episode, though, I'd just like to remind everyone that we have the contest free giveaway. Don't miss out your chance. The creators of the film Tell It on the Mountain were kind enough to give away 2 copies, one physical and one digital download of the film to listeners of the show. So it's very easy. All you have to do is go onto our homepage. It's right below their episode 14. Fill out the link with your name and email. Then just click the link that you get in your email to confirm that's a live email. And like our Facebook page, there's only 2 credentials, and you'll be signed up. Don't miss out on that. The time is running out for that. Also, if you like our Facebook page, not only will you be entered in the contest, but you'll also have live feeds right to your Facebook page. You can see when new interviews come out, new contests arise, anything like that. And it helps us here too. You can support it, get numbers up, and we're trying to get this show bigger and better. I've had a lot of positive feedback, so I want to keep it going. And we'd like to thank all the listeners who have reached out to us and liked our Facebook page and been tuning in. Thank you, everyone. I hope everyone enjoys. So we have another episode coming up. Once again, I talked to A. Digger Stolz, who is the author of the novel Stumbling Thru. I hope everyone enjoys listening to this interview. Thanks, everyone, for tuning into this episode of the AT Radio Show. Today, I'm very excited to have the author of Stumbling Thru, Book 1, Hike Your Own Hike, Digger Stolz. Digger, how are you today?
I am fantastic, Jimmy. Thank you. And before we even get into this, let me just say, listen to all your podcasts. Really enjoy them. You're doing nice work over there.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. Someone who just started up on his own, it definitely means a lot. So I'm glad you're enjoying them, and all the positive feedback we get from everyone is very uplifting. So before we get into your book, tell everyone a little bit about your background, how you got into hiking, how you got into the Appalachian Trail, just a little summary on yourself.
All right. I guess I started hiking, high school, college. Out of college, I started working as a corporate consultant, flying around, and spent 5 years doing that and was very disenchanted with the corporate world. So kind of figured out how I could quit, and planned, a month or so after quitting, I had it all planned to get down to Georgia and start a thru hike. So that was in 99. I started April 3rd. Took me 6 months to the day, which wasn't planned, but it was kind of nice. So October 3rd, I summited Katahdin, and it was hands down, without a doubt, the best experience of my life. It was, rolling free, good time. Even the bad times were good times. It was just eye-opening, and as I was doing it, never mind afterwards, I really just felt like it was an experience that it could be and should be translated on paper, that it really is something that the world should know about. If they could even enjoy just share a bit of the enjoyment that I had, that would be, I think worthwhile. So, ever since completing my thru hike, I went to grad school actually in creative writing towards this end, and have been slowly crafting a story ever since.
So I believe from reading, I know a lot of this is on the information on the back, but for those who don't have the book right now, you went to grad school after you left the corporate job, is that correct, after your thru hike?
Yes, yeah. I put my 5 years in. Enough was enough of working already. I was in my mid-20s and feeling carefree, and hiked. And after that, sort of took a little time, got myself pointed in the right direction, figured out where I wanted to go to school, ended up going to University of Alaska, Fairbanks, and spent 3 years up there studying the craft and learning how to write. I had a business background, so I really wasn't very educated in anything that I needed to be educated in, and henceforth, studied a lot, worked hard, and here we are with the first book.
Okay, so you get done with grad school. You're done with Alaska Fairbanks. Now it's time to sit down and write the book. Where did you start? Because I mean, I've never written a book, and I'm sure a lot of people listening out there haven't either. Where do you start? It seems like such an overwhelming project.
It really was, and I started 3 or 4 times, hundreds of pages. I started before grad school. I trashed everything and started again. Subsequently trashed all of that. Started again and again, and finally arrived at something that I thought was a protagonist and a voice that I thought was worthwhile, a take on the AT that was, obviously fiction, but different than what we've seen everywhere else. A reluctant protagonist. Most everyone that hikes the AT knows about it beforehand, has studied it for, sometimes years in advance, is all prepared and gung-ho. And I wanted to, show someone that wasn't at all prepared, at all gung-ho even, didn't want to do that, necessarily hike at all, but ends up finding himself doing exactly that and, struggling through. It was a long slog finding the right path. Absolutely.
Well, that actually brings me right to my next question. One, how did you decide fiction over nonfiction? A lot of people that seem to write on their hikes tell their true story, tell the trials and tribulations. Why did you pick fiction? And then a follow-up question once you answer that is, how did you develop the characters? Because for anyone who hasn't read the book, just a sneak peek, there's a very good handful of characters, all different, but they all kind of blend together. Like you said, some of them are thrown out there against their own will. Some of them, this is a lifelong dream. So I know that's kind of long, but I'll sum it up again. So why fiction? And then how did you get the ideas for the characters once you chose that you were going to go fiction?
There's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of nonfiction on the Appalachian Trail. Some of it's awesome. I've read a number of times now. I've read Earl Schaefer's Walking the Spring. I love it. It, showcases an America that we barely recognize anymore. It was more road walking than not. It was an entirely different adventure than I can even conceive of. It was fascinating. He's a veteran coming back from the war and sort of quietly working through issues while he's walking in the woods and meeting America, and they're coming out to meet him, and just how friendly everyone was and open. It was just a fascinating place back then. The Barefoot Sisters, I loved their walking southbound and their perspectives on trail and their adventures. And there's a ton of others. But that's exactly it. There's a ton of them. And I personally am not a big nonfiction reader. I just, you can data dump, you can give me all kinds of information on various topics, but I could get that from Wikipedia these days. And I wanted to have use fiction and have the freedom that fiction allows me to craft characters and stories and not be stuck to my personal true adventures, which were or were not exciting at given times. I didn't want to have to, I did this and I did that. There's a lot of books that do that, and I didn't think anyone needed to read my version of that story.
And then how?
What was the second part again? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to hit that. So you chose fiction. Obviously, that's something you personally wanted to do. You enjoy more. But how did you develop the characters? Because although it's fiction, you can totally see how your through hiking experience and the people you met turned over into the novel. So how did you develop the characters when you sat down and started writing this book? Were a lot of them based off people you met in your hike? Were any of them just made up completely out of your own imagination?
Most of them are, they're all made up. They're mostly amalgams from experiences I saw or heard about. And I heard about a story about this happened with this guy, he said this, and that's, it was comical in the telling. So I used that, and I took one of these experiences usually and put a character into that experience. And from there, it just kind of was organic growth. There's a lot of